The program is In Touch. I'm Jenny McGee for our Hall Communication Stations, and we have two guests. Sharon Kneiss, she's the president and CEO of the National Waste and Recycling Association in the nation's capital. And also we have Brian Groshan, a former Army aviator. I should ask you about these helicopters you flew on 2 tours in Afghanistan without trying to pronounce it myself.
Yeah, it's the OH-58D Kiowa Warrior.
You did 2 tours of Afghanistan. Brian is here as a veteran and as an employee who's been working with Casella Waste Systems in New Hampshire. As we mentioned, Sharon is overseeing National Waste and Recycling. Of course, with Veterans Day coming up, Brian, a veteran, has been working with Casella. I guess I should start with Sharon first because you've been working in National Waste and Recycling for a long time, it sounds like.
Well, I've been in Washington for a long time, but I've been with the waste and recycling industry, which, by the way, is a marvelous industry, for the last 5 years.
So what have you learned in those 5 years? Because it's an amazing world. Things change. We make a lot of trash and stuff, and doing the right things with all of that is very key with limited landfill and other places to put our junk.
What I've learned is that the industry has evolved from looking at waste as something from which you remove it for a public health concern to a resource from which you extract the greatest value. I've also learned that the people in this industry uniquely are very passionate about what they do and very proud of what they do.
There are a lot of parts to recycling and, of course, waste. And, of course, it all starts with what we purchase and what we acquire, then what we do with it at the other end. I didn't really realize they had a National Waste and Recycling Association in D.C. Has that been around a long time, Sharon?
Been around since the early 1960s. Different names, but the association itself has been around since the early 1960s.
Before there was Earth Day, huh?
Absolutely.
And Sharon, do you have outreach around the country? Do you work with solid waste managements and different companies like Casella?
Yes, we have a membership of over 700 companies who work in the industry, and we also operate 29 chapters in 30 states. So we work very specifically in many states across the country.
When you work with a company like Casella, which we have Casella Waste Systems here in our neighborhood, and of course they branch out a good part of New England, Brian Groshan, who is a veteran, is very much involved and has been in the business with Casella in New Hampshire for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I've been with Casella for 2.5 years now, currently based in Salem, New Hampshire. We have a hauling division down there that services kind of northern Boston region, southern New Hampshire.
Because we have them in Vermont as well. I guess Casella has grown over these years, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We have a good footprint in Maine and upstate New York as well.
What's really cool is Casella is very, very active in hiring veterans, looking for jobs after you've done your tours of duty and worn the uniform. How hard was that in trying to figure out where to go, and how did it all come about working with Casella?
So when I was transitioning out of the military, I basically created a list of criteria of what I was looking for in the civilian sector. One of which was location. I wanted to get back to New England, where my family was from. And the unique thing about the waste industry is that they're in every community across the country, so there's opportunities everywhere. And the next thing I looked for is an operationally based company. When I was in the military, I was an aviation officer, managing aviation missions on a daily basis. Now I'm doing the same thing today, however, it's a different mode of transportation. The next thing, with Casella, it's a regionally based company. So there's always that potential for growth within the company. So kind of all those things combined is what really attracted me to Casella, and they've really made me feel like family since I've been there. So it's just been a great fit for me.
Brian Groshan, also not only from the New England area, but you went to Norwich University, which is very cool. A lot of our listeners, big fans, and that's right in our neighborhood. Yeah,
that's great. I miss Norwich and was glad to be an alumnus from there.
And Brian, as far as Casella goes, you are an operations supervisor in Salem, New Hampshire with the company. There is more than just picking up trash and getting recyclables. A lot of things we all don't realize behind the scenes happen when waste is being managed and recycling and other things out there.
I think just in general, people have a negative connotation towards the waste industry, but I think Casella does a good job of conveying itself as more of a resource management company. Our goal is to reduce the amount of material going to landfills and incinerators. We want to try to recycle more. We want to try to compost more. We want to try to reuse, repurpose items more. And Casella does a great job of educating communities and being a part of communities to get that message out there so that we can be better stewards of the environment.
I know Casella comes and services our condo complex, which is an old Army fort from back in the days of horses, the cavalry from early 1900s. And they not only pick up our trash, they pick up our recycling, and we're doing composting at our condo as well, where they pick up our food waste to be put in and mixed in and made into compost.
Yeah, that's correct, and that's one of the great things about Casella is being involved and working with customers, whether it's at the municipal level, the institutional level, or the commercial level, to help each of those industries reduce their waste level and help recycle more.
I will talk to Sharon some more. Sharon, of course, knows a lot about waste and recycling as well, but Brian, as a veteran who served 2 tours in Afghanistan, Casella is probably one of a number of companies that look to hire veterans in employment and get them on board.
Absolutely, and just where I work in Salem, there's a number of veterans that are employed there, and it's actually made for a great transition for myself. I still have that feeling of a brotherhood or camaraderie that I felt in the military, which it definitely makes coming to work a lot easier when you have that feeling. It's been great for me, and it's really helped out my transition.
And Brian Groshan, what do you say to other veterans who come back from service? We all can't put ourselves in your boots and know it's a little different for everyone, I would imagine, returning to civilian life, trying to find something you like to do, want to do, that will actually even support you too.
Yeah, and I would say that the waste industry is an opportunity for veterans. It's an opportunity to be involved in their community. It's an opportunity to provide a necessary service that helps manage our limited resources. And so you have a big purpose that you had when you were in the military. So it's a great opportunity to feel like a valued member. So I encourage anybody that's separating to look at the waste industry as a possible opportunity.
And that is Brian Groshan. He's with us as a veteran working for Casella in New Hampshire. Sharon Kneiss, the CEO of the National Waste and Recycling Association based in Washington, D.C. This is an industry, you know, they say everybody's got stuff, everybody's got to get rid of stuff, and this is a commonality. It's not going to go away, this need for help in the industry and for all of us to participate.
That's exactly right. This is an important industry that fills a most important role in this country. And as we are looking at our workforce needs and have recognized that the experience you've gained in the military is completely transferable to our industry, we welcome the opportunity to welcome more veterans into our industry. And I might also mention we've been doing this for quite some time, and one of our member companies tells us that they hire an average of 1 veteran a day.
That's incredible.
Yes.
We're talking about Casella in our neck of the woods. I'm gathering there must be many other great companies in this business that do much the same in that as far as hiring veterans.
Exactly, and many are working with veterans organizations to encourage veterans to try out our industry. It's an industry with strong salaries, good benefits, and an opportunity to go home to your family every night. And as Brian said, it's an industry with a strong purpose as well.
And in this world of waste and recycling, it's an interesting nonstop existence. Do you do outreach? I know we're doing outreach right now, talking to both Sharon and to Brian, but what kind of outreach does the industry do for veterans or out there to folks getting out of the military service?
As I mentioned, a lot of our companies do direct outreach to veterans groups, including Hire Our Heroes. We're working with the National Association of Manufacturers to get our message out. We're working with our companies to develop recruitment kits to get those out. We continue to look for opportunities to get out our message to veterans, including media outreach like we're doing today.
Sharon Kneiss, she's the president and CEO of the National Waste and Recycling Association, and you have been talking to different media outlets throughout the day as we record this for our programs on our Hall stations. And you're 5 years in this business. There are so many changes and new technology and new markets, and sometimes some markets go away too. It's an interesting business. It's
a very interesting business, and there have been a lot of changes. Of course, it's fun to watch all the technological advances, but also on recycling, there have been some challenges. And what we want to make sure is that we establish recycling as a sustainable business. It's very important that it be a sustainable business. Lots of changes in the industry, lots of developments. Interesting to see what's going on with food waste and handling that and where that's going. It's dynamic. Actually, it's a lot of fun to work with these companies that are so dedicated to handling our resources efficiently and effectively.
It's interesting in the world of, Vermont, we think we're so far ahead, but there are markets, different states, different parts of the country that are really all over the newest things going on when it comes to recycling, composting, and how to get rid of waste. And then other places that need a little more help.
I think we're in an evolutionary time now where we're looking at the appropriate path forward. And of course, waste is regulated at the state level mostly. Mm-hmm. So you are going to see those differences state to state. But it's a fascinating time for the industry as we move forward to make sure that we're treating waste and extracting the greatest value for it, but we're also ensuring that it's economically viable, whatever we do.
Sometimes even in our state, we're in the greater Burlington area. It's a little more populated. Some of our marketing and recycling and composting a little more advanced than other parts of the state. And I'm sure it's probably a little different in parts of New Hampshire. Is that right, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. And like Sharon was saying, it's really up to the individual communities, how urban, how rural the areas are as far as their advancements in recycling and composting goes. And we see all varieties within New Hampshire as well.
We are winding down. Sharon Kneiss is the president and CEO of the National Waste and Recycling Association. Is there something else you would like to say on waste, recycling, and the hiring of veterans?
As I mentioned before, the waste and recycling business is an important one. It's a business that touches every community where its employees are passionate and proud of what they do. We invite vets to explore employment in the industry. If they want more information, they should go to wasterecycling.org/jobs.
Brian Groshan, who is a veteran and served 2 tours in Afghanistan flying helicopters. This has been a nice change in your life. Is it kind of a normal scene going for you for these couple of years you've been involved with Casella?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been great for my wife and I to be able to establish our roots back in New England and be able to enjoy everything that New England has to offer and work for a great company like Casella that has really made my transition just that much easier. And then also serving a great purpose within our community. So it's great.
And so to all veterans, what do you say?
I say look at the waste industry as an opportunity. There are so many jobs within the industry to take advantage of. If you don't have the education level, the government does offer the post-9/11 GI Bill for veterans to get further education to gain a trade, whether it be a diesel mechanic or whether it's to obtain your commercial driver's license. So the opportunity is there. Look at it, see if it's the right fit for you. There's a lot of greater opportunities, and we'd be very happy for you to be a part of our team.
Brian Groshan, who is a former Army. You flew in helicopters in Afghanistan for 2 tours, and now you're the operations supervisor in Salem, New Hampshire for Casella Waste Systems. We appreciate your service on all fronts and your time today. And Sharon Kneiss with the National Waste and Recycling Association also appreciate your time today as well.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you both. I want to thank all our listeners for tuning in. I'm Ginny McGee, and you're in touch.